natural makeup is shit. It'll last you it's like food. It's made from food. It will last you 2 weeks. They all have some sort of preservative in it. There's these brands saying they're all natural, but they have red lipsticks and bright pink lipsticks. You cannot make those colors naturally. The only way is...
Bonnie Gillies is a beauty expert with over 20 years of industry experience, first making her mark in fashion and film before launching Oz Beauty Expert and her award-winning brand, Basic by B.
There is just so much of this BS. Like, no one is out there putting toxic chemicals in your makeup. The greenwashing is out of control, and it's brainwashed people thinking they need all natural.
Bonnie Gillies.
Oz Beauty Expert Bonnie Gillies.
There's so many content creators now, and there's not a lot of value in a lot of the content. So I don't feel like it's the skills to create the content that's needed. It's the understanding of the platforms. Is it all natural? Does it contain chemicals? Water is a chemical compound. It's all down to the dose. Water is toxic at a certain dose. You will die if you drink too much water. So what does that mean? Has it got anything that's toxic in it? Well, of course it doesn't. Why am I doing this? And I am genuinely, I know I'm selling something, but my passion is to help people.
What's your thoughts on where the industry really is at this point in time? This episode is brought to you by Wix Studio. Now, for you and your story, there's a few interesting points. One is that you have been involved with the royal family, and also you've been on set and done beauty within the film industry for like the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. So I worked overseas when I was young, and I was a national makeup artist for Elizabeth Arden, and they used to fly me all around to different jobs, but they had the royal warrant for cosmetics, which means they supply Buckingham Palace with makeup. And one day they got this letter. The general manager of Elizabeth Arden got a letter from the Queen's Lady in Waiting saying, we're getting all these boxes of products and we have no idea what to do with them. Can you send someone to show us? So I went there. It wasn't with the Queen, but it was with her ladies, and showing them how to use all the products at Buckingham House, which is right next to Buckingham Palace.
So you actually went into Buckingham House?
Yeah. I did really good jobs really young. Like, I worked on Hollywood movies and lots of TV and fashion, and I was just on the hustle. Like, back then, to get on the movies that I got onto, you needed contacts, you needed to know someone, and it was borderline harassment until they give you a job. Like, I was hungry then, to do some really good makeup jobs.
So if you take me into the mind of a makeup artist, as I understand it, there's so many things kind of converging into one. One, of course, is you have to work and learn how to work with skin, because there's different skin types and textures and health and all the rest of it. Then there's, obviously understanding the latest trends in what's popular and what is going to fit someone's face. Take me into the science of, I guess, makeup in and of itself. Like, what things do you have to be conscious of as an artist to be able to get into circles like being on sets for movies or being in Buckingham Palace?
Well, to get into those kind of jobs, it's such a small industry, really. The amount of people that are working on those jobs, especially in Australia, it's almost impossible. That's why I ended up in fashion in Australia, because when I came back, the industry's so small, there just wasn't any films going on. But you have to kind of make contacts and connections, and now it's probably easier because there's social media. We didn't have that. You have to actually find people, and you had to cold call them back then and email them and But it's competitive to get into those top jobs, definitely. And nowadays I would say you absolutely need to have a social media presence already, because that kind of adds it to your, works as a business card almost. And then in terms of knowing an experience to work on those jobs, after I studied makeup school, at makeup college, I went and worked overseas, and I worked in a lot of department stores on beauty counters, and that is like makeup artist university, because you are doing all ages, all races, all skin tones, all skin types. It's really good to teach you how to be quick at what you're doing, do a good job, and know what works for, different ethnicities and different skin types.
If you're looking at how everyone's trying to be a content creator in the beauty space right now, what's your thoughts on where the industry really is at this point in time? Is it a good thing that everyone is out there making content, or is it changing the industry?
I feel like I feel like there's so many content creators now and there's not a lot of value in a lot of the content. And because what gets views, a lot of it is trend, kind of like entertainment stuff. There's so much of that. The creators that want to get good reach and followers are doing like what the trends that they think are going to get them the most views. I don't know. It's kind of disappointing in the quality of what's out there. I think on social media, the organic posting. But then at the same time, it's so good for the consumer and the everyday woman to be able to find people that can educate them and help them. So yes, there's really amazing content on there that's way more easy to access than it used to be, but you've just got to sift through all the crap first to find the people that resonate with you.
What led you into making tutorials? Like, what was the first idea that went through your head of like, okay, I'm going to start sharing my craft online and publicly?
Do you know what? I actually don't know why I started doing it. I've always had a passion for education. I've always been good at articulating trends and, you know, taking something that someone might be struggling with beauty-wise and taking it in and then relaying it to them and showing them how to do it in a way that they can understand and then replicate at home. And I never really knew, because like I said, I remember I was a makeup artist working in fashion, and I started posting, this is how it all started, to be honest, started posting pictures of jobs I'd worked on and listing what products I used. And other people that I was shooting with, stylists, photographers, were so rude and condescending about it. Oh, you want to be one of those makeup artists, do you? Like an Instagram makeup artist. And I just like made me feel really ridiculous. And then so I don't know why, but I knew it was a thing and I knew people liked it because people were responding with like, oh, what lip color is that? And like, you know, I knew that there was something to it. So I just kept doing it anyway. And then fast forward, you know, 2 to 3 years later, all of those people that I was working with are scrambling to have a social media presence because, you know, photographers, everyone's trying to have a presence on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. So I just think, I don't want to sound like stuck up or anything, but I just think sometimes I do things and I don't really know why I'm doing them, but I'm onto something, you know, like I just seem to be a little bit ahead of the curve with things like that. I was posting on it before a lot of other, like most other people started posting their tutorials and things. So that's what I was doing first. I had little kids. I was a bit embarrassed. Like I wouldn't have posted photos of myself. It was anonymous. I was known as Oz Beauty Expert and I was posting models and how I did their hair and how I did their makeup. And then I got approached by Roxy Jasenko because she started an influencer agency and she said, you've got to start posting your face. And I remember thinking, oh my God, how embarrassing. Like all these mums at school with the mums from school gonna go, look at this girl posting pictures of herself and videos of myself. And when I did that, that's when it really just like took off because people like want to see a person. So I started posting videos and content on myself. And to be honest with you, that kind of content works so much better than when education-wise than when you're doing makeup on a model. Because if I post a video and I'm doing makeup on a model and saying, this is how you do it, the viewer thinks, of course she can do it. She's a makeup artist. But if you're doing it on yourself, they can actually relate and go, okay, that is how I would do it on myself. So that's why all the content that I post, even though I could be doing beautiful models, makeup, and it's mainly on myself, or if I'm using UGC creators for the brand now, I'll always get them to be doing it on themselves, not doing it on someone else.
Some of the things you said there that are interesting, because I talk to people about this all the time, which is, you know, I would like to make content, but I'm fearful that my colleagues will judge me or people in my industry will make fun of me or, you know, I'm nervous to put my face out there and just the idea of that terrifies people. What do you think was going through their minds when people were, I guess, judging you at the very beginning when you started doing this and they thought that you're going to become one of those?
I just think that the fashion industry was very closed off. Like someone had to die for you to get a job in there, you know, like you know, I'd come back from London. I was 26, 27. I had all this experience on amazing jobs. No one ever said, oh, how old are you? I came back here and just because of my age, everyone said, you'll have to be someone's assistant. You'll have to be. And I was like, no. If you tell me I can't do something, it'll just make me want to do it more. So I didn't, but everyone's like, oh, you'll have to be someone's assistant. You're too young. So it was just the industry at the time. It was very exclusive. All those people kind of had a lot of power. They were very highly paid, way better paid than they are now, makeup artists, stylists, photographers. So they were very protective of it. And I guess in their perspective, they probably do think that Instagram social media has ruined that. But I don't know. I just, I think that's where they were coming from. And then they realized, oh, hang on, this is the thing. People want that kind of content.
Would you say that, like, for example, there's two things happening at the same time? One, I imagine, would be, call it the old guard, which is this is how makeup is done. If you want to earn your stripes, you need to be someone's assistant and you need to do it for 10 years and whatever that might have been, that was the blueprint for, let's say, however many years. All of a sudden, these new platforms show up where people can just literally turn their camera on and talk to the whole world. Now, all of a sudden, there's no gatekeeper. It's you yourself are the gatekeeper. I think two things are happening. One, which is when something changes, whoever controls the old version wants to protect that at all costs. Two is like those that are tired of being rejected from said system are then going to be the first adopters of the new system. Did any of that drive your thinking patterns, or you were just more opportunistic, like, I'm going to pounce on this?
I just think that I don't know, I knew I was onto something. I was getting traction from the people that were watching it, so I just kind of ignored it and kept doing it. But yeah, I just did it. I'm one of those kind of people. If someone tells me I can't do something, it'll just make me try 10 times harder to do it.
I love that. Okay, so when you're making content and you're thinking about beauty, I understand it's somewhat of a sensitive landscape because you're talking about someone's personal routine, something that they might do in private. There might be fears or concerns. And then there's also the zeitgeist of, beauty brands prey on people's insecurities.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that territory without, rocking the boat too much? Like, what's your approach, your take on educating women when it comes to something so personal?
So my content, I will usually try and deliver it with some value and some sort of piece of education in there, suggesting that this might make you look and therefore feel great. I would never say that you're doing this wrong or you're doing, this is how you should do it. One of my pet peeves is when people comment on videos saying, that's not how you apply that. It pisses me off because makeup's an art. You don't tell a painter how to paint a painting, do you, or what tool to use. You can do it any way you want. There are no rules. So what I am showing people are just suggestions or guidelines that might make their life easier and might make them feel great, might update their look a little bit. So I'm never like saying this is how you've got to do it because I actually really don't believe that should be ever said. Makeup's an art and it's designed to make you look and feel great. And if you apply your makeup in some weird and wonderful way, it doesn't matter as long as it looks the way you want it to look and you feel good about it.
That makes sense. And I think that when you are making content and you're being conscious of like, let's focus on the positives, let's not make anyone feel silly or stupid for doing it a certain way, that makes sense to me. If you're saying, okay, let's take the beauty space as a whole and hypothetically everyone's trying to be a content creator, so to speak, fresh out of college, fresh out of university, they did a program or a course, now they're an educator. I'm sure you see this a lot and go, okay, cool, like they're probably not as experienced as they need to be. But if everyone's a content creator, but not everyone's a brand builder, like how would you define the difference between just posting content and someone who's actually building a brand for themselves?
Because I think if you're just posting makeup educational videos alone, that's what you're going to be known for. It's not going to evolve the brand. I think that the difference for me has been the makeup educational content, which is why people keep coming back, but also showing my personality, showing behind the scenes, showing my like normal day or where I go or what I do. Those little bits tie it all together, and like build the brand out, make the person not just, you can't just be one thing, one niche. You have to sort of show who you are.
Many people argue that they need to find that one niche. What's your thoughts around that?
I like on my Oz Beauty Expert page, I just do educational makeup. post to the grid, but on the story, I'm always posting bits about me and everything. I just think people will identify you less as the person, and that it's not as good for your community if you're not giving them a bit of yourself as well. That's what I feel like. It's always going to be in beauty and predominantly in beauty what I'm posting, but I think you need to have that person that you're identifying with as well, and it just helps to build the brand and the community. I think that my brand went so well in the beginning because people kind of felt like they knew me. I wanted my content to be educational, but I wanted them to, because I know, I look at my my analytics, and on my videos, I always get way more saves than likes, because heaps of women are busy, and you're not going to go and go, oh, go girl, and like put emojis and comments, and like you don't, but you're like, that's handy. I'm going out on Saturday night, save that for later. So I always get way more saves on my videos than any other interaction. And I want to be that friend that you go, oh, I'm just going to go check what Bonnie's, get some ideas from Bonnie for Saturday night, like how I can do my makeup. So if I was just, I don't know, I've given them a sense that the people that follow me, they think they know my personality a little bit. So I think that makes it more like a friend, and yeah, I'm trying to articulate that the right way. But I do know that people look to me as like, not up here like a professional makeup artist or some expert. I'm like a girlfriend that is good at makeup that can give them some really good tips.
Business owners, if you're stuck using one platform for every project, you're probably stuck in a growth bottleneck. More clients means more hires, which just adds noise and cuts into profits. To break the loop, you need flexible tools that don't stretch your resources. Wix Studio is a smart addition to your business toolkit. Intuitive by design, your team can quickly master the platform and focus on the work that matters the most. Then keep up the momentum with a built-in management tool, a unified dashboard, reusable assets, and a Figma plugin that turns static design into launch-ready websites. With robust native business solutions like bookings, e-commerce, and events, you can take any project at any scale without the added cost of third-party plugins. Plus, Wix Studio is a low-maintenance platform, meaning you can redirect the client budget towards real growth initiatives. Think more value for clients, steady income streams, and stronger relationships. To get started, simply go to wix.com/studio. Now, if we look at the content feedback loop, hypothetically, and I understand most big content creators are constantly looking at some kind of rhythmic feedback to go, am I doing well, or am I needing to change up the strategy? How do you know if your content is resonating? Do you go by gut? Do you go by analytics? Before you said you went by saves. How do you know if content's doing good or if it's doing poorly?
I will go by analytics. I will look at what's performing. But you're not always right. Like, I spend a lot of time considering what content I'm going to post and what needs to be posted. And sometimes things that I think are going to be amazing flop, and sometimes I think, oh, should I even post that? And then I do. It goes so well. So I would go by analytics. I usually look at what's being saved, and how things are performing. And the way that works on every different platform is completely different. Like, I will rarely post the exact same video from TikTok to Instagram or vice versa.
Why not?
I just think they need different captions or different text or just a slightly different edit. It'll be the same video, but just delivered a little bit different.
What's the main difference between TikTok and Instagram? Because on the surface, they seem like they're kind of the same platform, but they really operate differently.
It's totally different audience. Like, for one, we know it's a much younger audience on TikTok. And the content on TikTok is always delivered with sound on. So the hook can be a hook that you hear, it can be spoken. But if you do that on Instagram, if I'm speaking to the camera for the first 3 seconds without captions, people do not engage. They just keep going. So it has to be delivered differently.
I never thought of that. Like, so people tend to use TikTok with audio on almost always.
Well, TikTok is, usually like all the young kids, they have their AirPods in and they're just watching TikTok with the sound on. On Instagram, most people have the sound off to start, unless they actually go into Reels and they're watching them. But most people watch the Reels with the sound off.
That makes sense because, the younger generation always have their earpods in.
Yeah.
Whereas if I look at my mom, doesn't even know how to use
No,
earphones.
and
so,
she's not
she's
gonna,
always on Instagram.
Yeah, so she's not going to have the sound going. So on Instagram, you've got to be mindful that the content has to capture attention without the sound on.
Interesting. What else would you say is the predominant difference, like how it's edited or the style or the lighting, anything else?
Just the trends on TikTok, the entertainment factor, there's a lot more entertainment. But I do find now that TikTok is kind of setting a trend and that the entertainment type content is now really working well on Instagram. And have you see a TikTok trend and then it shows up on Instagram 2 weeks later?
Yeah, like a couple of days or a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just think that it's a little bit slower. It gets there eventually. But the kids, I think, start the trend on TikTok and then people carry on and someone moves it over and then it goes there.
So do you post the same content on both or do you tend to reshoot for TikTok and Instagram?
Yes, a lot of the educational content we'll post on both, but we will slightly edit it. So Instagram will have captions or just a way that you can clearly see what it's about without the sound on. And then on TikTok we do like a lot of brand fun content that has nothing to do with makeup or beauty. It's like, who's the most likely to do, those funny trends. We do those on TikTok. And we do post some of them on Instagram, but not all of them. I just think they're not going to go as well on Instagram as they do on TikTok, those kind of things.
Yeah, I find that the TikTok is a lot more able to go viral typically. Like
Absolutely.
If you upload a lot of content,
Absolutely.
you could have one video do 15 million views, but you could post on Instagram for years and never see numbers like that.
If you're going to – this is part of the reason why TikTok is so important for a brand because it's the only place now that you can go viral organically, I think. Maybe YouTube Shorts you can. I've had some success on those as well. But TikTok you can go viral organically a lot easier than on Instagram.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, you could on Instagram.
Yeah.
It seems like that's not the case anymore.
No, because you're competing with so much paid content on Instagram. Like most people are spending the majority of their ad spend on Meta or Google, not so much TikTok, I would say. I'm assuming that's my business and a lot of businesses that I work with and know. So if you're trying to go organically viral on Instagram, you're competing with all that content that's got money behind it.
That's a really good insight because every time I meet a business owner and they're talking about their paid ad campaigns, it's always Instagram. Yeah. They never talk about TikTok.
Yeah.
Right. So you're saying that from your perspective, TikTok seems to be a lot more organically built and have a lot more virality with reach, whereas on Instagram, maybe there's more volume of people paying. So then the paying people get a priority. I
do think that what comes with that, though, is the content on TikTok does become a bit more, how do I say this? Like it's a bit cheaper. It's a bit more like for cheap thrills, like because you've got to catch that. Because those kids, if you ever looked over like a 20-year-old's shoulder who's watching TikTok, they're just going, they come up and if you don't capture their attention in the first second, they're gone. Like they are, I don't even know how their eyes adjust to it. So on TikTok, you've really got to make sure you're capturing their attention in those first few seconds. Whereas on Instagram, I would say there's a lot more quality content. You can, if it's someone you've chosen to follow and you like their content already, you'll give it the benefit of the doubt for the first few seconds while you see what they've posted today. Yeah, whereas TikTok, you're getting people that you haven't chosen to follow. So it's just like moving on. So it's very differently. And I feel like a lot of TikTok content, it loses that bit of quality and it's just there for the cheap thrills to get them, to capture their attention in the first few seconds.
So I never thought about it, A, being an audio first platform, B, it's kind of ad hoc or cheap and it's people are flying through quickly. Is there anything else that you found algorithmically, like how many times a day to post, how long the post should be, anything that you should be doing in the background?
On TikTok?
Yeah, on TikTok.
I think the more you post, the better. And the more you engage with other content, the better. I don't know that as a fact, but there is a theory that the more you engage, if you're a brand and you just go on there, do your daily post and then get off, your videos won't work. You've actually got to be on there engaging, watching, saving things. And it's actually a good way to know what's happening on there anyway. It's not a bad thing to have to be looking on TikTok, but You have to post regularly. Like you can post up to 3 times a day, I would say, on TikTok. No worries. Your post will go better for it. And you kind of get a longer lifespan on TikTok. They keep getting views weeks after, and sometimes a video might randomly pop off a week or 10 days after you've posted it. So whereas Instagram, after 48 hours, that thing's dead. It's not going anywhere, you know? So yeah, TikTok, I would say regular posting 3 times a day as a brand, if you're like trying to grow your following, 3 times a day, having a variety of content. So you've got to have those cheap thrills videos that I'm talking about, but you've also got to have balance it out with some valuable content, some brand content.
Have you noticed any difference on, I guess, your brand's engagement, like your company's engagement through Instagram or through TikTok for lead generation for products and sales?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really feel like the brand, what's the name for it? There's founder content, and then there's UGC and EGC, employee generated content. Yeah. So, been so heavy on UGC for the last few years, paying creators to do things. Your team making content, I feel like that really helps. That really goes well. And again, it just makes it feel more human and not just a brand selling you stuff. And I feel like sometimes that's the difference in that is what gives you a competitive edge against the big guys and a very saturated market, like beauty. People ask, who are your competitors? I'm like, brands that are owned by L'Oreal. I don't know, like huge brands, So I don't think about competitors. I obviously look at what other people are doing and what prices people are charging for things, but it's just such a saturated market. And I think for a brand, especially in beauty, to compete, you have to have a community, you have to have a personality, your brand has to have a personality. You do need that founder content, the team content to make it relatable, and it just works so well, especially on TikTok. There are so many brands, have you seen these brands that they don't really even post about their product? They post about their team doing things, and it just naturally brings them sales because people love the personalities that work for them or love seeing what they're getting up to that day.
Now, when you ideate, how do you ideate? How do you know what to talk about, when to talk about it, how much of a certain subject matter to hit? Do you have a bit of a loose framework for that?
So there's so many different areas of content that I'm planning for. There's my personal page as a makeup professional. There's the brand, and then there's paid advertising. So you kind
of put them in 3 buckets.
I put them in 3 buckets. So for my personal brand, I am just thinking of, I've been doing it for so long. There's only so many makeup lessons you can do. I've got to think of new ways to give them educational content or reinvent something that I've done before. And the good thing about that is a lot of the things that I do are current trends and translating that into a way that people can do their makeup that is in the fashionable way or an up-to-date way that they can understand. So that kind of comes naturally. Then the brand, we source UGC creators. We've got to have a mix. So with the brand, we've broken that down into categories as well: product, people, and then team. So we've got the product being used on people. We've got just product videos, like really beautiful ones of the product and the packaging and manufacturing process and stuff. And then we've got UGC. We'll make sure it covers all ages, all races. We've got really diverse content to post. And then team is like the fun, entertaining stuff of what goes on behind the scenes. And I feel like for us, that trio of content works really well.
So people, product, and process.
Yeah.
And that triage allows you to kind of branch into different things. So when it comes to people, it could be your team. It could be the people you work with. I know you host events and you bring people to those events. So it could be like the consumers or the fans hanging out and telling stories or answering questions or solving problems. The product is showcasing like what's in it, how is it made, why is it great for you, and then the process of like how to use it and how to apply it.
Yeah. Correct. So there's always going to be that. For us, it's got to have value and educational, most of the content. It's also aspirational, so you look at it and you think that could make me I could look and feel really good if I use that. And then just some relatable stuff that's the brand doing funny things or founder doing, I don't know, selling something or talking about something or just doing some silly challenge that someone makes me do.
But you do a good job of that. And like you said, you don't want to be so stale that you just become so repetitive that people are like, she's just going to do another tutorial. So you want to keep them on their toes a little bit.
You know what? I think about this a lot, and this is, it's like you, I think before I would imagine people go to university and learn how to do marketing and that you follow the plan. You go to this business and do it by the plan. But in a digital world, an e-commerce world and social media, there's no solid foundation. You're on shifting sand and it is always moving and changing, and just when you think you've got your footing and you are nailing it and everything's working, there'll be a shift and you've got to figure it out again. So that's our content plan and the way that we do it now, but it's going to change. It just keeps changing. This whole social media world is constantly changing. It has changed so much in the last 10 years of what works, what people are doing, what people want to see. So I think you've just got to be very open to change and very willing to change. I think a lot of those brands that really killed it, or even influencers that were really massive on Instagram in the start, but were so stuck on their way of doing things and their way of posting, they just get lost. You have to actually be really good at adapting.
I would totally agree. You nailed a really important point there. And we often talk to people that are like, what's the plan? Just give me the plan, I'll roll it out. And I always try to explain to people content is different on each platform, and then they're always changing, and you'll be hot 1 minute and boring the next. Does that frustrate you, having to constantly change your strategy and keep up to date with what's happening?
It does, but I think that you have to have a good team around you. At the moment where we need a junior, like in age-wise, not so much experience, but just someone who is like a TikTok native, who that's the app they get on. I probably spend 50-50 between Instagram and TikTok now, but I need someone who the first app they open is TikTok, someone who is just on to that. And you can't always be good at everything. I just think I need to pay someone and have the help to really get the most out of TikTok. Because I think it's just that generation are just so good at it, and there's things that maybe are a trend that I don't quite understand or get, and that's okay. But I need that kind of support, someone that does. So I think building out your team, everyone's like watching, everyone's ready to change and adapt. Yeah, I think you've just got to be onto it.
Now, for those that aren't in the position to be able to have a team member for that per se, what would be your advice for someone who's like, I got to figure this TikTok thing out?
Spend time on it. I've done it. Like at first I used to get on it and go, do you know what? I actually started doing silly videos with my kids when they would let me, and because I think I'm pretty funny. But
I think you're hilarious.
But they would get millions and millions of views. Like our videos went viral of us just doing silly shit. And then I would post on my Oz Beauty Expert TikTok, and then I would post a makeup video and no one cared. Like it would just flop. And I was like, it got to like, I don't know, a year in, and I'm like, I don't have the stamina all the time to keep making these funny videos. I've got to stop. So I just stopped and just went back to beauty and my life as a founder and makeup artist. But I also, when I did that, I just got TikTok was overwhelming. I didn't really understand it. I wasn't a native on it. I'd spend most of my time on Instagram when I was on social media. But then I have forced myself to get onto TikTok, and you actually learn to love it. Like I love TikTok now. I would spend equal amounts on both apps. So if it does feel overwhelming, one of the apps, if you don't understand one, you just have to spend time on it to get to know it, and you'll get it. You'll understand it.
Yeah, that totally works. And I think to your point, being native to a platform is totally different from downloading it and looking at it observationally. So like being objective versus subjective, like if you can really understand how these platforms work, how people use them, what they expect to consume on it, it makes it a lot easier to make content. What about when people are stuck in this mindset of like, well, the only reason I'm doing it is to generate leads. I don't care about the platform. I don't care about the people on it. I hear this all the time. Like, we just want to generate leads. How do we make it work? Do you think that that's a broken mindset when approaching platforms?
The TikTok consumer, the people who are consuming that content are so savvy. They're so savvy to anything that is inauthentic. They will not care. If you're not there for a reason to entertain them or to give them something valuable to have a laugh at or to learn from, they're not going to care. You have to actually be on there and understand what's happening. And it is pretty fun, most of it. But I just think if you're just on there for business, I'm not sure it would translate.
Okay. It's kind of like if you look at Hollywood right now, you know, movies have become so blueprinted and formulaic that it just seems like all they care about is a box office hit versus building a film that challenges culture. Like if you look at this as a micro version of that, if you're just making films to sell tickets at box office, it's going to make far worse content than if you're like, I just want to tell a fantastic story and obsess over the details. I know this isn't filmmaking, but in many ways, shapes and forms, you're begging for people's attention. And if you can't entertain them or educate them in an interesting way, they're just going to swipe right on past.
Yeah, and I think that's why advertising on TikTok is a little harder, and it takes some solid understanding of what content's going to work because they're already, you know, I said it's very hard to capture their attention for more than 1 second. You're gone. You're swiped past if you haven't caught their attention. As soon as they feel the ad, they're even less interested, you know. So your ad has to be really attention grabbing and be really well thought out.
Now, if founders are using content to build a fan base in order to, you know, build a business and sell a product, there's nothing wrong with that. What would be your advice on how to approach that in order to influence sales? What are some things that someone should be conscious of? Because I think it's a bit of a catch-22. If you're trying to sell products, people don't want to buy them. But if you can show up and be valuable, people are more interested in buying products. Do you have a recipe or a framework of how to think about that?
So for me, I think it's a little bit easier because it's makeup and the colors speak for themselves in a lot of ways. And they're not super expensive and people will watch a video and go, oh, pretty color, I'm going to buy it. If I was selling skincare, however, that would be completely different because I have to convince you that you're going to benefit from it. So I just think making sure that when you are designing the content, it's not about you or your brand so much in terms of sales. It's going to be addressing an issue or a concern or a fear that your customer has. So, you know, a lot of my content that works to actually drive sales at the moment is, do you need to update your look? Do you feel like your makeup needs a little refresh? Like it's just capturing their attention and actually resonating with something that they would actually think themselves. So it's more customer-centric rather than product-centric and brand-centric in terms of sales. That's the stuff that will convert, the stuff that the audience will respond to and relate with.
Yo, my name's Dane Walker and I am disgustingly obsessed with branding. I had to figure out a way to do branding every single day, so I branded myself. Then, I started my agency, Rival. And hired a team of branding mavericks hell-bent on creating brands so good that they'll make your competition shit their pants. So here's the thing, you want your brand to go viral and Rival makes brands go viral. That's why we're offering you a free 30-minute branding session to get an expert's opinion. If you don't believe me, the proof is in the pudding. Here's what clients have to say about Rival.
Rival is trusted by brands like Nutrition Warehouse, Light My Bricks, and Vumi.
So if you want to absolutely smoke the competition and make your brand go viral, hit the link below and book in your free 30-minute branding session.
Now, what's harder, being authentic or being consistent with your personal brand?
Being consistent. It's hard. Well, when you're running a business, there's so many other things going on, and for beauty, you've got to face the camera and you've got to look good as well. So that kind of takes a lot of energy sometimes because, you know, if it's, I don't know, you've had a really busy morning with your kids and then you get to work and then you're like, oh, my hair's like not perfect, and you've got to present yourself in a way just to get that energy. I think the consistency of posting, I'd love to post more content than I do, to make more content than I do, because my time's been taken up with so many other aspects of my business. That's what's next for me as I grow, to build a team that's going to take over all the bits that are not necessarily my strengths, so that I can focus on content and product.
Now, people at the beginning often get overwhelmed with where do I start? How do I start? How much? Like there's this wall that people kind of have to break through at the very beginning. What's your advice to those that are contemplating doing this but are like, I need the perfect plan to start?
I think make a plan for your content to post once a day on Instagram that will then also go automatically to Facebook, to post multiple times a day on TikTok, because I really think if you're just starting out, that's what you want to be doing. You want to be getting as many eyes on your content and as many opportunities to go viral organically, and have certain shoot days. So maybe spend 1 or 2 days shooting to get the next 2 weeks worth of content done. Then you've got it done and you're ready to post. It's not like you're having to shoot every single day. That's what I find works for me, because like I said, there's some days I just don't want to have to look pretty in front of a camera or show someone how to do something. So we'll do shoot days, get a bank of content, and then you'll be surprised. Like, this is short form content, the majority of it. The longest video will be, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, but mostly they're 30 to 45 seconds. So you can actually get a lot done in a day, but I think planning is important.
Do people need a videographer or editor to be able to start doing this?
No.
Or would they just start using their iPhone?
Their iPhone and a little tripod, and you'd be fine.
Any tips around software or editing or anything else that you try to do?
I just use CapCut, but I think good sound is important. So we have like the little lapel mics when we're shooting with the team. And then for beauty, lighting is so important. So if you don't have any lights, you just need to face a window and put your phone up on the window, get one of those little suction things. You'd be surprised how many content creators we work with that we've gotten from another genre that are they make amazing fashion content, but their beauty content is terrible, and you have to teach them. Beauty is actually it's really important to understand lighting, because you face one way and your makeup will look shocking. You face the other way and it'll look amazing. So understanding lighting is pretty important when it comes to beauty.
Interesting. I never thought of that. When you're on a set for film, there's a lot of lights.
Yeah.
But when you're out in public in daylight, it's probably totally different.
Yeah. So it's really important when we're looking for content creators that we see examples of beauty now, because it's not everybody understands it.
That makes sense. Are there any fears of your two brands becoming too dependent on each other? So, for example, your product range is very much attached to you as a personal brand. Do you have any fears around they're too attached to each other and they need each other to survive?
Sometimes. Well, I'm at the point in my business, I'm at a fork in the road. Do I keep this going as a lifestyle business and just keep going? Or do I grow it and try and sell it and think big picture? Because there's so much potential both ways. And one way, if I'm going to grow and sell it, we definitely need to establish the personality of the brand as a team and a brand rather than just me, the founder. So if that is the route that I am going to take, we're going to have to maybe make it about the personality that's behind the brand comes from a team.
Yeah. No, I would understand that. And I think that takes time. But however, I find that one of the fastest ways to grow a brand is by attaching your face to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
people want to be dealing with a person and communicating with a person. And I think after the pandemic, people were really willing to support local businesses and to support founder-led businesses. I think that's why everything popped off for me, because people were more willing to support local and support, women in business. And
What's been the biggest shock to you from your community about what you've done in the past 6 years?
I think that the only really big surprises I've had is product popularity. Some products I think are going to be the next big thing and no one cares. And then some things I think are just going to be, that'll work nicely with the rest of the range. And they are extremely, extremely popular products. Like we made this body glow, and we're a makeup brand, so it's the only body product that we do. And I just thought, oh, it'll be nice for summer. It just could not keep in stock. It was just going out the door. It was viral. Everyone was buying it. And my normal demographic was sort of 25 to 45. And even the 18-year-olds love the Body Glow. Like it was just, and right up to 65-year-old women, everyone loved it. It's just that now is still one of our best sellers. So I think that sometimes I think I know everything and I'm like, yeah, people will like this, but I don't. You've got to put it out there and see how it goes. Even recently, I just said this, and I tell these stories to my audience as well, because we've got a popular product at the moment. It's the mystery boxes. So we've put in a bunch of products. It's amazing value, but you don't know what you're getting. I would never buy a mystery box. I never pay $120 and not know what I'm going to get in it. But one of my friends said to me, I love buying mystery boxes from brands. You should do that. And then my sister said it, and then another friend said it. And I said, why do you like them? She said, I just like not having to choose sometimes, and you just get it and it's exciting. And then if you don't like something, you've got such good value, you just give it to one of your friends. So anyway, I did it, and they have been extremely popular. They've sold out 3 times. We're on the last few of the 3rd batch now. But just like absolute game changer. And
Wait, mystery boxes?
Mystery boxes. And the average order value has jumped from $65 to now $95 because these mystery boxes are $120 a pop, whereas my other products are $40-ish dollars.
That's crazy.
So, you think that I was going, no way, I'm not doing mystery boxes, but I didn't know. I don't know everything.
We need to do mystery boxes. What the hell? Okay, so take me through that, like explain that, because the AOV is so important when it comes to e-commerce. Everyone's always looking at getting that from, what I understand, over $85 is kind of like, the golden ratio if you can get it. The psychology behind that's interesting. Why is it that you think that the mystery boxes are really taking off?
The value. So they're basically getting $100 and something worth of products for free, but they don't get to choose it. So it's great for us to move product variants that aren't as popular. So what happens with the content, I've tested all our products as paid content to see what converts. And there's only 2 or 3 that are really high converters. So we don't advertise any of the others. All our ads are those 3 products. So what happens is people come on the site to buy those products, and then if they add a lipstick or a liner, they've just gone on and had a look and added a couple of extra things. So those kind of things we call C-grade stock. It's not that they're not good or not beautiful products. They don't convert in ads and they don't move as quickly. So anything that we're sitting on in high quantities, we'll go, okay, we only just started doing this now, putting them into the mystery box. So these people are buying them for $120, but they're getting $320 worth of products. So they're getting a lot of stuff free. So it's the value that's making them work, and it's also not putting shitty products in there. I think some brands just put their old stock and stuff in there.
So you're not trying to pump out old stuff. You're trying to give valuable stuff that they might not.
It's just stuff that we're sitting on. So it's good for us because we're moving the stock. We're not losing money on it. We're making money still. We're not making as big a margin as we would have been if we sold it individually, obviously. But it's moving it. People are getting such great value, and it's giving us cash. So they've just been so popular. I think the value, people have been organically posting, sharing what they've been getting in them as well. So it's good.
That's exciting because I guess it's like an unboxing thing. Yeah. It's like, well, what did I get?
Yeah. Well, I've got people comment, and the comments are really good. Like, I felt like it was Christmas, and just really positive comments. And people know that they're limited. Like, they're going to sell out again. They'll sell out in the next few days, but they know that they're limited. And then all these amazing comments on the content. So there's this real sense of urgency. One of the sizes is sold out ages ago. We've just got 1 size left. So yeah, there's a real sense of urgency about it and mystery, and I don't know, people like it.
Yeah, I can imagine that there's a mix of things, right? Because, the mystery thing, it feels like you're going to strike a deal. Like, no matter what, I'm getting more value than I paid. Yeah. So Ellie, when she shops, she's always kind of go shopping. She'll add to cart, and she knows by abandoning it, she'll get the emails and she'll get the deals and all the rest of it. So she likes the dopamine hit of getting a deal. So there's that, then there's the mystery, then there's the unboxing, then there's the surprise. And then if I don't like it, I can just give it to my friends. So it's a win-win.
And you're not
what.
losing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you think about the community building behind the brands, because it sounds like when you're doing something like that, you're in many ways building a little bit of community around a product or a bit of a buzz or trying to get people to try different products. how important is building community from a brand's perspective, whether it be e-com or your personal tutorials?
I think really important. I think that even originally started posting on Instagram. So it was when the content had to be polished and the lighting was perfect and everything. And I think that I did get a bit stuck in my ways, thinking that content needs to be planned and filmed on a certain day in a certain place with a certain light. But my sister who works with me, she's like, you just got to film them putting the mystery boxes together and talking about bits behind, day to day and all of that stuff. And I think you really have to inject personality of the brand and yourself for the community to even begin to build. Because do you find that when you're looking at social media, like you're seeing what goes on behind a brand, like the team talking and everything, it really makes you way more interested?
I've had this revelation like in the last few days, and I was sitting down and going through my Instagram feed and just asking myself the question, would I consume this content? And the frank reality of my answer was like, not really. And which led me to the question of like, well, what would I consume? Which is a hard thing. It's like, if I wasn't me, what would I want to see from me? And it's like, well, what does my life look like? What does a project look like? What does my team do behind the scenes? What's my routine? What's it like to be me? Like I would want to start asking these other questions, which then allowed me to go, okay, well, who's doing this really well? So then I went down the rabbit hole and I was looking at Stephen Bartlett's content and I was like, this is exceptional. I can't stop consuming it because he's just kind of like, this is what my life's like. This is what it's like behind the scenes. And then I felt reinvigorated to make my content all over again.
And it's actually easier because it's the real you.
It's the real me.
Yeah.
So rather than trying to fabricate the perfect piece of content, I've realized that I really just want to start documenting what I'm doing as I'm doing it. And I think that's a lot easier for business owners and founders to digest because they're already busy. And someone's going to find what you're doing interesting, like packing mystery boxes. Like, that's interesting. Like, take me into that process.
Film some content for us now?
Yeah. No, but that's fascinating, and I think we can absolutely do that for you. But like, okay, let's dive into community a little bit here. So everyone talks about community, but like, what's the real difference between just someone who's following your content or someone who's becoming like a real fan?
They feel like you are their friend, like they're trusting you, they're trusting what you say, that just building that authenticity. And it starts through content, obviously, but then it's also what you're doing as a brand, how you're doing it. Like I have thought about this so many times, like why am I doing this? And I am genuinely, I know I'm selling something, but my passion is to help people, and I really do. And I remember hearing, listen to podcasts about businesses and like you have to have a reason. What is the reason that you're doing it? And I think a lot of people who aren't really clear on it might think, oh, that's so cliche, or what does that even mean? But don't do it unless you really know why you're doing it. Don't do it just to get rich or to sell a product, because I just don't. I think the journey will be a lot harder if you relax into it and you really are passionate about what you're doing and there's a reason behind it. The community will come.
I would agree. I think content creation should be fun. And that's why I felt reinvigorated recently, which was like I've kind of resurrected the fun component of content creation. And, you have to kind of always stay in that place. Because if it's not fun, why even do it? It's just then a chore.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. If it does feel like it's too much pressure, I think just have your days where you film content that you've planned to make X amount of content. But then if there's something that's going on, just do it. Just shoot it. Just take a video of it, because usually those are the bits of content that go the best, that perform the best.
So
are
like
the ones
overshoot,
off
overfilm.
the cuff when you're like, oh, this could be cool. Let's do this. Or we're on our way to do this. Like, that's the stuff that works.
So this more off the cuff, spontaneous stuff is seemingly performing really well for you guys.
Yeah, I think just that whole customer nurture and nurturing the community, even our EDMs, they're not always product focused. They'll have a tutorial in it, how to do this. Just on all different avenues, really building that community is so important for a digital brand. We've only just got physical retail in Adore Beauty. But before that, for the last, 5.5 years, we haven't had any physical retail. So I think it's really important to have pop-ups and activations and customer-focused events, not just for the brand awareness, but for the customers to have that experience. They don't get to go into, they used to go into David Jones, and you meet a person that you actually talk to and you touch and feel the products. You've got to think of it so differently if you're just selling things virtually.
With building the community, you've covered the content creation stuff really well. What else can you do as a e-commerce store owner to then help percolate or cultivate or get a reaction out of your fan base?
I think things like paying it forward or supporting a charity or inviting your customers to go somewhere, collaborating with other brands that have really good community as well, doing pop-ups with other brands can be good as well. Pop-up stores I think are really great. They can be it depends what level you're at if you're going to do pop-ups or not. You could even work with an expert on something and hold a masterclass or a workshop like I do.
Now, with the strategy being value-led first, do you think that slows business growth down? Like you said, like you're trying to be a creator and then you're trying to build products and run an e-commerce store and build a team. Like this value-led approach, do you think this inhibits you in any way?
No. I think that is the thing that's constant, the valuable content. That's what keeps people hanging around, the customer retention. But that definitely, when I'm talking about these mystery boxes, I'm saying you get $200 worth of products free. Like we're selling it, but it makes the times when you are doing that sale so much easier and not like I'm doing this every day going buy this and save this. And, it just makes the whole thing feel more authentic and feel nicer.
Something I heard you say recently, which was your inner fucking watch me do it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting that there's this energy there. Where does that come from and how has that enabled you to push through hard times?
I don't know where that comes from. That's just me. I've always been like that. And I always feel like my whole career I've chosen the path of most resistance. Like I just have been I've been at the start of everything. Like I was at the start of the e-commerce brand. I was at the start of like being an influencer. Even though I didn't really want to be an influencer, I was just doing my thing. You get called that. And there's always been these challenges. And then e-commerce, when I started my brand, it was like, oh, another influencer brand, like, fuck off. But when people, it's just in me. I think that's just me. People tell me I can't do something. I'm very persistent, and if I've got something I want to do, I will do it anyway. So that has gotten me where I am now, like a quiet, calm, humble confidence, and that kind of like, if someone says you can't do it, I'll just think in my head, watch me.
If you had to go back in your mind and pinpoint where that really originates from.
I think it's from growing up and never being criticized. I feel like criticism is like the antithesis to that kind of go get 'em. As a kid, criticism, and I just, my wildest dreams I would express to my family, and no one ever said you can't do that or.
Your family really champion, go for it.
Yeah. And the only time that they made things difficult for me was when I finished high school and said I wanted to be a makeup artist. And they were like, no, you're going to go to university. So I wasted a year and their money doing a year of uni and then ended up being a makeup artist anyway. And look where it led. But yeah, I really feel like that has gotten me to where I am now. But now I am a makeup artist completely winging it in business, like a business that's going so well. And this is the most stressful time in my entire life. Just the responsibility of managing these amounts of money and teams and trying to grow and keep all the plates spinning when the business has kind of outgrown my knowledge and I am catching up. So I've had this last 6 months where we just grew so much last year. My last 6 months have been spent trying to just maintain efficiency and profitability and catch up like really rapidly, learn all the things I need to know to keep it going.
I meet a lot of people that aspire to build a business. And you can often tell where there's something slightly missing regarding the belief or the grit or some kind of sense of determination or I'll prove you wrong kind of energy. Where do you really summon that from? Because if people weren't creating resistance for you in your early years, fantastic. But still, I meet so many people that yet don't have that grit in them? Like where does
is
that
that
come
idea
from?
what they really want to be doing though? Because I think if you really want something badly and it is your deepest desire to make that happen, then they will have it. I just think maybe those people are doing something because they think they need to do it or they want to do it. You know, it's really, or maybe it's just they haven't spent the time to really figure out why they're doing it, what their purpose is.
What's your purpose that you felt that's pulled you through the difficult times as well as the good ones?
My purpose is to, I think, just being a girl growing up in, like, you know, my teenage years in the early 2000s when there was so much pressure on being super skinny and looking a certain way and not fitting in sometimes. I think that my purpose is just helping everyone to look and feel great and just go girl, you know?
Yeah, and obviously this is very important for women because, you know, there's cultures shifting all the time. Like obviously, even if you look at like pop culture and movies and music, different body types come and go, different looks come and go. How important is it to you that you can help women identify what it is that makes them beautiful and not needing to fit something else?
Yeah, so important. And also embrace aging. That's a lot of the women that really resonate with our content are women that have struggled, like they just don't relate to some of the content that's being put out by the bigger brands because it's all 20-year-old models or movie stars or supermodels or, yeah, I think it's really important to have content that people can relate to. And when you're selling makeup, content that people watch and think, I could do that. I could wear that.
Do you think that in the totality of things that the beauty industry is somewhat awry with preying on insecurity?
I think it was, and I think that it's not so much anymore. I think it's getting better.
What makes you so confident that the industry is going in a better direction?
I mean, I think that things are diversifying, the people that they're using. It's really feeling more inclusive. I think a lot of brands are doing that really authentically. I think many brands are doing it inauthentically, like it's a bit of like tokenism, you know, they're doing it because they feel like they have to. But I feel like the brands, the newer brands, not the big giants, have really made inclusive makeup, inclusive content that just has really changed the industry. And I feel like it's a lot. It's just it's feeling a lot more authentic. You know, go back 10 years, it was still mainly supermodels and actresses in all their campaigns and everything. And now the beauty industry is using more real people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like so out of reach.
Yeah, unattainable. You need to have, obviously your content needs to be aspirational to an extent, but aspirational and relatable.
Does it get to the point where everyone starts to say the same thing?
There are brands who are doing it really authentically and doing it well, and then there are a lot of brands that are just doing it because they feel like they have to, and I think that you can tell. Yeah, so there's it's like greenwashing. Greenwashing in the beauty industry is like rife and so bad. Like
what's
everyone
greenwashing?
Saying that your product is eco-friendly and 98% natural, and like there is just so much of this BS. Like no one is out there putting toxic chemicals in your makeup. All brands are doing pretty good job. There are some that may use questionable ingredients because it's cheaper, but I feel like every brand now, that's why I'm so reluctant to like say clean beauty, because of course my products are clean. Like they're made from really beautiful ingredients, but just the brand saying clean beauty, like what does that mean? People are doing, the greenwashing is out of control, and just the all natural, that it's brainwashed people thinking they need all natural. All natural makeup is shit. It is like, it'll last you it's like food. It's made from food. It will last you 2 weeks. It'll start to smell funny after a while. They all have some sort of preservative in it, and brands will put in it one there's some preservatives like parabens people are cautious of because they've been linked to breast cancer. But these studies even in that, so they'll use other preservatives and say paraben free, but they've just got another version of the same thing in it. And then natural makeup brands saying all natural makeup brand. And one of the most questionable ingredients is the man-made colors. So they've been linked to upsetting your hormones and all of this stuff. So then other than that, there's not that many questionable ingredients. There's some things that are derived from petrol and but anyway, that's one of the most questionable ingredients. And then there's these brands saying they're all natural, but they have red lipsticks and bright pink lipsticks. You cannot make those colors naturally. The only way is by an ingredient called carmine, which is from red beetles, so crushed up beetles and put it in. So then your product isn't vegan. So I've seen these brands saying they're vegan and they're 100% natural, but they sell bright pink and bright red lipsticks. So I look at that and I'm like, how? You've either got beetles in there or man-made colors. And then I look at their ingredients and they'll say beeswax or calendula wax or and all these beautiful ingredients, but none of those ingredients are the color. So on their websites, a lot of them do it. Will have all the ingredients for a clear lipstick. And if you have, I've emailed them and said, can you just send me an actual ingredient, or gone into a shop and looked, they have the man-made colors in it. So they're not all natural, and they actually have one of the things that people are sus on, and they just don't put it on their website. It drives me crazy. This is a whole nother conversation. But there's so much greenwashing, and even from customers, we do see people on social media, I should say, saying, is it all natural? Does it contain chemicals? Water is a chemical compound. Like, chemicals are toxic in a dose. It's all down to the dose. Water is toxic at a certain dose. You will die if you drink too much water. So what does that mean? Has it got anything that's toxic in it? Well, of course it doesn't. Anything in there is at a certain dose, and it's made very scientifically that it's perfectly safe. There's just so much fear-mongering, and there's also so much greenwashing, like saying, like a lot of the recycled packaging, people say, oh, this is made
So if I may, because I think this is really interesting. So like you have greenwashing, you have recyclability, then you have vegan. Take me through them like one by one. So we'll start off with greenwashing and then we'll go through them like little chapters.
So greenwashing is when a company will portray that their product is a lot cleaner and more natural than another product when it's actually not. It's just in the wording, like people don't like sulfates in shampoos because they irritate the skin, or sulfates in cleansers because they can strip the skin. But then you'll see a conditioner or a skin oil that says sulfate free. Sulfate is like put in shampoos to make it foam. You would never put a sulfate in a skin oil anyway. So there's this kind of greenwashing where they're really trying to make customers perceive that their product is more natural.
So you would never put sulfate in it anyway, but they're saying sulfate free because it sounds good.
Yes, because people, it's like in the fear mongering, that's one of the
Must be good
things.
if it's sulfate free.
Yeah.
Even though they don't know what it means.
Yeah. And then the vegan thing is just not containing any products, any animal products.
But you said with that, it's difficult to get certain colors without doing that.
So you use man-made colors, and most man-made products.
What's a man-made color, just for reference?
Well, it's a synthetic color. It's something that's manufactured in the lab, a bright, vivid color. Most makeup has it in it. There's nothing wrong with it. They're completely safe, but there are a couple of those that are a little bit risky. So you just, as a makeup brand owner, you wouldn't put those in your products. So there are definitely some ingredients that you would avoid and that you keep out of your range, which I do. And the vegan thing, I think that's pretty straightforward. Like, it's pretty easy not to have animal products in your range. But if you are all natural and vegan, you can't have any bright colours because they come from man-made colours, or they come from the carmine, the beetles crushed up.
Poor beetles.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I've seen is brands talking about their packaging. And so I've seen brands that make refillables, right? So you get this big, thick plastic bottle, and then you put the refills in and out. But the it's even more plastic. Like, it doesn't make sense to me because you've got two plastic bottles and they're trying to convince you that you're saving plastic by putting refills in. I don't know. I just keep seeing all these. And then there's the ones that's the plastic that's made from cane sugar, but it actually molecularly is plastic. So it is derived from cane sugar, but doesn't break down any easier. Right. Yeah. So look, this is just, you've got me on a tangent now. I'm deep down a rabbit hole. Yeah.
The last one you were mentioning, which actually I heard in conversation recently with Ellie, we had this conversation in bed and she's like, yeah, this makeup brand I'm looking at, it's edible, which probably means it's better for my skin, right? And I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like if you can eat it, it means it's probably better to be absorbed. So we had this like discussion around like that totally makes sense. And she bought into it and then she added it to her cart and she checked out. So when it comes to like these, not gotcha moments, but these like new things where it like, oh, it's new, it must be better. Do you think that there's this whole concept of like the new is better, catchphrase is better, is really driving the beauty space?
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of new, it's really hard to reinvent the wheel in beauty because what works. So there's people coming up with new trends and new products that are very trend driven that I know won't have any longevity. There'll be a buzz for a little bit, but then they don't work as well as.
Like for example, then if you say, okay, like were there makeup brands that were always vegan, but now saying that is a new marketing tactic, whereas before it never really had an effect?
I don't think that there probably were like beeswax used quite commonly, and I don't think they would have thought about it as much before. However, clean beauty, there's always been clean beauty brands. Like I know that there's some brands that will, just to make it cheaper, use worse ingredients, but there's always been a lot of clean beauty brands around, and all of these products are formulated by some of the best cosmetic chemists who use really good high-performance man-made ingredients. And man-made ingredients can be, like actually really beneficial for your skin, and they're just more stable. They'll have a shelf life. They last longer. The texture is better. I just find with something that is actually all natural, in terms of makeup, it won't last as long. It'll go off. It'll smell funny. The texture's not usually there. Sure, there's some natural products that are amazing, but a lot of things that people say are natural makeup, they're actually not.
So in many cases, the product could be worse. Yeah. So for example, you might buy it, use it once or twice. The third or fourth time you use it, month 4 or 5, now the product's useless. Yeah. You've wasted your money.
Especially in skincare, a lot of natural skincare products people have found have actually affected their skin negatively. Things like essential oils, which are all natural, they're actually extremely potent. And while you might not get a reaction to them straight away, if you're using them for 6 months or a year, you can actually start to get things that people don't realize are linked to what their natural products they're using. Like you can get rosacea or dermatitis. Things like that will develop, and sensitivities, just being super sensitive, your skin becoming sensitive. And they don't realize that they've built up this intolerance to the essential oils that are in things because they're so potent. And essential oils are actually put in skincare as a natural fragrance. So a lot of the time essential oils in skincare are a marketing ingredient to say, oh, it contains sandalwood or to make it naturally fragrant, but they're actually really potent on your skin. So that is a situation where all natural is not necessarily better.
So these marketing companies or these brands are saying this product is better for you for this ingredient. Meanwhile, it's worse.
Yep, definitely.
Is this common knowledge?
In the beauty world, I think a lot of people know about it. This is one thing that social media has exacerbated. There's so much misinformation and so much fear-mongering around ingredients. Like I see this with sunscreen at the moment. There's so much going on with that, and it's just really it's really sad to see so much misinformation and people becoming so, oh, I can't use this, or I've got to use something natural, and they're just believing the bullshit that some brands are feeding them.
So these marketing ploys are becoming divisive. Now people are changing their entire belief systems and their entire routines based on these buzzwords.
Yeah, on one hand, it's good because it's keeping brands accountable. They have to you have to live up to a standard and, keeping your products high performance but great ingredients. But on the other hand, yeah, it's just there's so much misinformation out there.
What would be a rule of thumb around your opinion on what people should look for and what they should stay away from when it comes to beauty product?
I think it's more about the brand. Like, I think it's about going with a brand that you trust, researching a brand. There's actually really good online resources, like Paula's Choice is a skincare brand, but she actually has a beauty encyclopedia. So you can go and look up whatever skincare or makeup or ingredient, if you don't know what something is, and chances are when you're reading an ingredients list, you're not going to know what it is.
I look at the back of like some of the makeup products Ellie has. I'm like, I have no idea what that stuff even is.
Yeah, well, like, they just have different scientific names, even if they are the natural things. So you won't know. So you can go on Paula's Choice, and she's got all the ingredients ranked, and it will give you like a category, red, yellow, or green to avoid. And there's so many ingredients and so many websites where you can actually look these things up. But I don't think there's anything you should, like, I'm not going to talk about things that you should specifically stay away from. But I think that you can do your research and actually look on some credible websites. Saying that, if you just Google it, you might get some non-credible websites. But Paula's Choice is a really great one to go and look, search your ingredients, and she will tell you whether it's a red flag or it's totally fine.
Okay. Now, on this topic around, this product's better for you because it's got sandalwood in it or what have you, are we trusting content creators too easily?
Yes. Have you seen those ads, girls promoting tanning oil? This drives me mad.
No, tell me.
Look, well, there's companies that make oil for young girls to go and bake themselves in. I've got a teenage daughter, and one of her friends was staying with us, and they came home with tanning oil, like you used to do before everyone knew about skin cancer and slip, slop, slap. So there's been the messaging there, and I noticed just a couple of weeks ago the slip, slop, slap and something else. There's another word on it now, but that campaign is back, and it needs to be because the young girls, my daughter said to me, all my friends are obsessed with checking the UV index every day. And I was like, what, they don't want to go out when it's too high? No, they want to go out and roast when it's high. The teenagers, that slip, slop, slap messaging hit us, but it hasn't hit them. And they're buying from influencers that are posting about this tanning oil. And it's just to get a tan. And it's so dangerous. It should have warnings like smoking does.
Especially when it's UV and the implications that can have on your skin, and if you're exposing yourself daily over a long duration, it can be quite difficult. And if we're trusting content creators too easily, like, how do we know what to trust and what not to trust? Because if brands are playing against these tactics and creators are playing against these tactics, all with the incentive of generating income for themselves, how does a consumer know how to better navigate these territories?
I think that the consumers are pretty savvy already, but I think the younger generation are the ones that are more impressionable and probably will get misled. But I think most consumers are pretty savvy. I don't think that there's many dangerous ones like that example that I just used. And a lot of the time, I think with fashion and beauty, you're seeing the product anyway. Skincare is a lot harder. Like I said, you have to convince them that there's science behind it and it's going to be beneficial for your skin. But makeup and fashion, you kind of see a product and decide that you want to buy it. So, yeah, I think there's definitely an element of people being paid that kind of cash for comment thing, something they don't necessarily believe in. But sometimes they stand out, right? You see someone who's taken the money and you're like, why are you posting?
And if someone's building a brand right now, is posting one piece of content a day enough?
On Instagram and Facebook and YouTube Shorts, yes. On TikTok, no.
How much should someone be posting on TikTok?
I think 2 or 3 times a day, ideally 3 times a day, spread out.
Is there any benefit to doing that on Instagram and Reels as well?
Possibly, but I haven't tried it. I don't know. I just, there's really peak times, and if I post out of those times on Instagram, the content will just flop. So we always post at our highest traffic time of day.
Right. So then spreading out across Instagram just doesn't seem to hit.
It doesn't
as well
seem to work for us. Yeah. We actually post stories throughout the day, but a good strategy with stories is that you post all your stories at one time of the day. You know, they're there for 24 hours. Right. For some reason, if you spread them out and post them all through the day, you don't get as much reach. So you post them all and let them go for the 24 hours.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It diminishes your reach.
Huh. I thought it was better to do it every 2 hours.
Well, that's what I thought, and we were posting during the day, but we actually took some content creators and influencers on a trip this year, and they were talking about it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to – and they were like, all of them said that is exactly what happens. So if they've got something they need to post and there's still something on the story from the day before, they'll delete it, like in the last few hours, you know, still hanging in there. they'll delete it and they'll post everything, and that will get them the most reach. And we've tested it, and it definitely works.
Interesting. I'm going to test that.
Yeah.
Because I thought, here I am being a noob out here trying to, every 2 hours I'm going to put something up there.
Yeah, well, we'll have an event or we're doing something special that day, and we would be doing, posts all through the day.
Right?
So now we just take all the content and we'll post it all at one time when we've got it all.
Oh, I'm going to try that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
it really
clever.
does help the reach for some reason when it's all posted together.
Like how much? Like you talking about 20%?
I'm talking about double the views.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now a few last things here around the brand building piece, because it seems like you're obsessed with this. You're always trying to find another way to give value to people. As someone who's leading a brand, do you ever have the fear of having too many products or expanding too far?
Yes. Well, I've definitely learned that I'm learning as well with the business side of it and the demand planning and everything. And I've definitely fucked that up. Like last year we were doing massive months and we did all of our demand planning for the busy season, like Christmas and everything, based on those months. And then with the massive scale, our meta ads became really expensive and we just lost efficiency. So we had to scale back a little bit. But at the same time, we scaled back our revenue a little bit, but we still have to pay for all this manufacture. We've put down the deposits for all the raw ingredients. It's all being made. So it really affects cash flow. And I just think I've learnt that, like I said, we have these hero products to really focus on those and expanding the colorways within those hero products, and maybe not focusing so much on making sure I've got all the colors and all the things, because it ties up your cash and you've got colors that aren't fast movers and they're sitting there and it's money that could be had. So I'm definitely still learning, and I don't think that having a massive range is the right idea. I think having those best sellers and still doing new launches every 3 months is really good for us. So we do limited edition things and just things to really re-engage our existing customers.
That's clever, because I imagine that, people just get tired of seeing the same thing. So then having a range to roll through and being able to do deals and combos and packs, this gives you a ton of advantages.
So my mid-funnel audience, do I need to explain what that is? Or does
if you
everyone
just
know
want to
that?
explain like your funnel system, that'd be great.
So your mid-funnel audience is the customers who have somehow engaged in my content. So they've watched a video for a few seconds, or they've followed me, or they've followed the brand, or they've been at one of the pop-ups and signed up to our email database. They're all people that are within that funnel, but maybe they know about the brand or they've purchased before. They're in the funnel. And so usually they're high converting. You get the most bang for your buck through advertising to your mid funnel, because they know your brand already, they know you, they trust you, they've bought from you before. But I've had the same products because my foundation range is really expensive and it's taken a really long time. I've got to have at least 10 shades. The first one's going to be 10 shades. It's got SPF in it. It's taken a really long time. It's going to be launched at least 6 months later than I would have liked. So for a good 12 to 18 months, I've been promoting those few hero products through all our paid advertising. And I do feel like my mid-funnel, they've been seeing this stuff for like the last 12 months. So it means we're losing it on those existing customers, because those existing customers probably have bought those hero products already. You really need that fresh product to give to your existing customers, because chances are they will be interested in what you've got to offer and what you're putting out there. And at the moment, I haven't got anything to offer them, so other than what they've already bought. So mystery boxes.
Yeah. So then you're running these same, like hypothetically, you're running the same ads on the same products that people already know about. So then you're potentially burning ad money, which could then be, better constituted towards, hey, we've got a new product, a new range.
We've been just really focusing on top of funnel, like brand new customers, which are more expensive. But that's what we've had to do until we get something really good for the existing customers.
And then for the bottom of the funnel, hardcore customers, they get to come to these cool events and hang out with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very clever. Now, regarding the future of e-com and beauty, do you see that the forecast is going to be heavily oriented on TikTok Shop?
Yes, but it's still not available here, is it? TikTok Shop? Yeah.
I think it's they're anticipating, I mean, it's live in the US for those that are listening in the US, but like for Asia Pac, I think it's September this year.
They told me last July that it was going to be ready by July. So we were ready to go. We had a strategy because I actually believe that this live stream selling is going to be huge. It will be the next big thing. So if you're not preparing for it, be ready. And for the people who aren't confident in front of the camera, you better get confident because you'll be on the front of the camera for an hour straight live. But we do lives already on TikTok just to warm us up, and you actually make sales from it. You offer them a code while you're on there to get 20% off, or so we have been dabbling in it. But yeah, I think it will be really popular. And I actually go down the rabbit hole of TikTok lives, and I watch these the people that sell wigs. They've got a wall of wigs behind them, and she'll go, "I'm trying to try on number 25 now," and she'll put on this like amazing wig, and then she'll go and I'm trying on number 81, and people are just ordering as you do it. Like, it's really interesting. But I really think it's going to be huge. It's huge everywhere else in the world. And makeup, there's brands that have become household names from TikTok Shop.
I'm seeing this happen as of the last maybe 18 months. Do you still think this is kind of underground, or do you think that this has now got a foothold?
Yeah, I think it's got a foothold. Do you like? There's brands that are just killing it now in the UK that are made on. They just popped off on TikTok Shop.
I think that long gone are the primary consumer base looking through SEO and Google. They're now just perusing social media.
Well, TikTok, for anyone under 25, I'm going to say, or a TikTok native, they don't use Google. They don't even open the web browser. If my daughter wants to know how to cook something or how to do something or fix something, she searches it in TikTok. Like, TikTok is its own search engine. That's why, when you post your videos and it gets what it thinks the subject of your video is, it's really important that it's picking up on the right subject of your video because it's a massive search engine.
For you personally, in conclusion here, like, what's a quote or a mantra that you've carried with you throughout your career that you wished all those listening to this would immediately implement?
That life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. I really have, like, so many times in my life, it just makes you so much better at putting yourself out of your comfort zone every time you do it. And I think I've done that, taken risks or things that don't feel safe, and more often than not, it's rewarding and it makes you braver to do the next thing. Same, I guess it's along the lines of fortune favors the brave, but I like life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. Push yourself to do something that might seem a little bit scary, but if it pays off, it's amazing.
What's a door that you need to kick in personally to take your business to the next level?
I have just kicked in that door, honestly. For me to scale is having self-belief around the business side of things and financial side of things. Just I haven't, when you have limiting beliefs about what you're capable of, and that all just got blown out of the water, and here I was, and I just sort of like, I don't know how to do this. I'm not cut out for, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I tell people I'm winging it in business, but I'm really not. Like, I actually know what I'm doing, and I should have trusted myself all along. You go and you do coaching and you learn all these things and they all help, but really I knew what I was doing all along. I'm smart enough, I'm capable enough. I just didn't really believe it. And I think that when I lost a bit of efficiency with massive scale, which is very common. I know a lot of brands that have scaled and lost efficiency and had to scale back a little bit. That, to me, I didn't realize that was normal. And that, to me, really made me feel like I'd fucked it up or I'd done something wrong and I'm never going to be able to get back to where I was. So I've spent the last 6 months really learning a lot and really learning how to manage my cash flow, really learning my demand planning and not to be sitting on so much stock. Like, at the moment, I'm sitting on so much stock, and to invest my money into leading areas of my business that will make sales, not areas like warehouse stuff as much. Like, although they're important, not be focusing on that kind of like a warehouse space, and spending as much of my cash flow on those areas. Should be spending my cash flow on the areas that make money.
It seems to me that you're always learning. You're always trying to scratch at the next idea or try to be an early adopter in many ways, shapes, and forms. Do you think that that's what's led you to the success that you've had, is always jumping on a trend, or not a trend, but like a new emerging technology early?
Yeah, like riding the wave and just going with it. You know, I always thought I was pretty like, this is what I want to do in my career, and I'm going to be a makeup artist, and then I'm going to like work on TV and do the covers of magazines, and that was it. And then at one point my career was like, I was being flown to the south of France with a skincare brand to post my pictures online. Like, and I remember saying to my husband, what am I doing? Like, because I was making more money. It was easier to make money from doing the influencing type stuff than makeup at the time. And I said to him, what am I doing? And he was like, I don't know, just ride the wave. And so I just rode the wave and made the most of it. But I wouldn't be here now if I didn't, and just stuck to like, nope, I'm only doing makeup jobs and fashion and TV. So yeah, I think you've just got to be open to riding the wave and adapting.
I think, yeah, you're definitely kicking in some doors. You're living as an example case of what can happen if you're, using your personal brands together with your company. And obviously you're passionate about this, and you've been able to build, something substantial that's meaningful to people. And it's really good to see.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've loved having you, and it's been a pleasure diving into, I guess, content creation and e-commerce and what it takes to grow a company in the beauty space, and understanding some of the products and the claims that happen. But yeah, you've definitely brought it today. We appreciate your time, and it's been a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll have you back in the future again sometime soon.
Thank you. After my next breakthrough.
Yeah, fill us in. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope I haven't rambled too much.
No, you've been fantastic. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.